Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm live. Hopefully, the quality is what it needs to be today. I've got hardwired internet, baby. It's been a while. I've got it fixed. You've got it fixed after your beautiful weekend in the sun. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you let me know in the comments where you're watching this from. I will give as many shout outs as I possibly can. But today is the beginning of regular live content on United People's TV, on the Facebook page, on the YouTube page, aiming for 9:30 to 9:45 every single morning. It's 9:45 today, maybe it'll be 9:30 tomorrow. But it's going to be all the latest transfer news that happens as it happens, as well as stuff that keeps going on during the day. And no doubt there's going to be plenty of updates when it comes to Manchester United. But today's video, as you can see from the title, as you can see from the thumbnail, it's all about Jadon Sancho. Now, the Sancho last summer, we know how painful that was. We all watched it unfold, and United were left empty-handed. Jadon Sancho didn't join. He stayed at Borussia Dortmund. Now, fast forward a year. Jadon Sancho had a bit of a sketchy start to the season at Dortmund, but finished on absolute fire. I think 13 goals, maybe in his last 18 appearances. Absolutely dominant in the England squad. The Euro starts on Friday. Can United get a deal done for Jadon Sancho before Friday? That's going to be the purpose of this video's discussion. Going to run through the latest updates from Fabrizio Romano over the weekend. Important to hear what he has to say, as well as a couple of updates from Germany too. So make sure you subscribe. If you're down below, make sure you get your comments in. Where are you watching it from? Anything else you want me to talk about after Jadon Sancho, or any questions about Jadon Sancho, let me know. But let's look through this together. And it all starts with Fabrizio Romano. Obviously, the guru, the man himself. He's had this to say over on Instagram over the weekend. Let me increase that so you can see the size. Look at that. Full screen, baby. Let's run through the updates from Fabrizio. Quickly before we do, in fact, where are we watching it from? We've got Roger Moore watching. Is it Roger Moore? I don't think it's Roger Moore. He's dead. He's watching from Uganda. Mark, where's that? Biafra land. We've got Bruno watching over in South Africa. Got Idu watching in Nigeria. We've got Kangogo from Kenya. Someone watching from France. How you doing, buddy? Nigeria again. You're all over the place. Really enjoy these live videos. I want to do them regularly. I really, really do. I've been slacking on the channel for quite a while. I'll be honest. I think you've seen it. I've seen it. Everyone's seen it. But hopefully the internet is working as good as it should be now, so that we can actually have a discussion. And make sure, as I said, any questions you want me to answer, get them in on the super chats and I'll run through them. But let's look at this Fabrizio Romano update. This is what he's saying. He said, Man United are working for Sancho. Well, we were working for Sancho last summer, weren't we? Jeez, worked all bloody summer. That didn't really work. It says that Sancho's our main target again. That's quite an important thing because, I mean, you all know my stance on the fact that United need a defensive midfielder. I think it's the most important thing that we could do this summer. But at the moment, we are not really in the market for one. Ruben Neves, is he a defensive midfielder? I think he's maybe more box-to-box, but he's certainly got that linked to his game. 35 million. Arsenal, apparently. Not United. And Didi, there's no links really to any defensive midfielder. It's all about Sancho, apparently. Now, United have restarted contacts to sign Jadon Sancho. Direct talks with the players' camp on personal terms. Now, remember, this is quite an important thing here. Jadon Sancho, he agreed terms with United last summer. Personal terms were not a problem. The problem was the fee. And Fabrizio goes on to say that the potential contract until 2026 and salary as 1 year ago to be confirmed in United's proposal. Agent's fee has never been an issue. So there you go. The contract there until 2026 and the salary, the same salary that we offered last summer. The salary that Jadon agreed to. So therefore, that's not really going to be an issue. It's all about the price. And this is where it gets interesting. We look down in everything that Fabrizio had to say. Said no official bid to Dortmund has gone in from United, but we're planning to try again for Sancho after being one step away from signing him last summer. Dortmund have an agreement with Sancho to let him leave this summer, but only in case the right bid arrives. That's the same as last summer, but crucially, that bid needs to be less. Last summer, it was 120 million euros. Fabrizio here saying that that's now dropped to 90 to 95 million euros. And that is very significant because, let's be honest, the only reason we didn't sign Jadon Sancho last summer was because the board didn't really feel that he was worth that much, even though he was worth that much to how much the impact he would have made on this United team. They didn't want to fork out that much money. So the fact that we can go in now this summer at 95, that's a big deal. Because of everything that's happened with the coronavirus, it gives the Glazers an excuse not to spend money. So the fact that he's 20, 30 million cheaper than last summer, I think that gives United a bit of an edge. Not an edge, but it just means we're more likely to sign him. Because if that price hadn't gone down, United, I'll be honest, it would have been another summer where we just dug our heels in, stood firm. Let's go on to see what else Fabrizio had to say. Liverpool have not opened talks for Jadon despite... Oh, wait, Liverpool's not involved. To be clear, it's not a done deal or set to be completed yet. But United and Sancho, he's our top target again. So let me know in the comments below. Type yes or type no. Do you think that United can get a deal done by Friday? Because I do worry about the Euros in terms of United signings. In an ideal world, we always say this, in an ideal world, United would have got our deals done before an international tournament begins. The players can be settled, and that would be brilliant. But it hasn't happened, whether that's Rafael Varane, whether that's Jules Koundé, whether that's Declan Rice, and that is a defensive midfielder we've been linked to, whether that's Jadon Sancho. We haven't got any of our deals done yet. So in that sense, it's worrying because the Euros, transfers like that don't really kick off during the Euros, do they? It sort of has to happen before or has to happen after. And I don't know. I really wanted United to get the deals done early this summer, and I was thinking maybe John Murtough coming in as our director of football is really gonna give United a bit of an edge. But maybe not. Maybe that's the Euros. Super comment here coming in from Rocco. I'll read this one out saying, Sam, we should get Tun Coop Miners. He is on his way to Atalanta for just 18 million. We should Tun Coop Miners. Who the hell was that? We should hijack it. I'll be honest, buddy. I haven't watched it enough of Atalanta. I know they've absolutely stormed it in Serie A the last few years, but I haven't watched enough of him to really have a fair say on what I'll do after this video. I promise. I'll have a look into him and maybe come back next time and we can have a discussion about him. But a lot of you are really kind of in the same boat as me. You're a bit fearful about the Euros, a bit fearful about the fact that United have not really done anything before it, and can we do anything by Friday? Given that we chased Sancho for a year last summer and we didn't get him, maybe I'm a bit optimistic to think anything can happen in the next few days. And a couple of updates on whether or not that's going to happen. Coming from Germany, we've got Konstantin Ecker here, writes for the BBC, writes for the Times. He's saying it seems realistic that Sancho will move from Dortmund to United this summer. But where do things stand? United sources claim talks between the clubs have progressed in the last few days, while people inside Dortmund say that negotiations have not started. It's annoying that always seems to happen with United, isn't it? You get one person saying one thing, you get one person saying the complete opposite, and you don't really know who to trust. You don't really know who is right in what they're saying. But United, I don't know. I really hope it goes on quickly. Comment here coming in from Michael. Thank you very much, Michael. Morning, buddy. Which is longer, the Sancho saga or COVID-19, and why? And no, why will United get the job done before the Euros? No, sorry, you're saying that United won't get it done before the Euros. Sorry to sound negative. Look, I'll be honest, Michael, I don't think that's too negative. I think it's largely realistic. And last summer taught us that, really, didn't it? Because last summer we saw United go after Sancho all summer long, and ultimately we were left empty-handed. He didn't sign. So why is it's almost fantasy to think that if we couldn't do it in a year last summer, how are we all of a sudden going to do it within a week this summer? But going back to my point there that I made, thank you very much for your comment there, Michael. Back to the comment I made there from reading on Konstantin's sources here and the contrast that you get from what Dortmund are telling the press to the contrast of what United are telling the press. You don't know who to believe. You really don't, and certainly not with this Jadon Sancho situation. It's why someone like Fabrizio Romano is so respected in that regard, because he is somebody who doesn't really have a loyalty to the British press or loyalty to the German press or the clubs involved. He kind of cuts through it, and that's why people listen to him, and that's why people like his updates so much, because It's impartial. And that's what journalism should be. But ultimately, if you're a Manchester-based journalist, you're going to be saying what your sources close to the club are saying. If you're a Dortmund-based journalist, you're going to be saying what your sources close to Dortmund are going to say. And ultimately, they're going to say very different things. Going over here to another update. This one's from Jan Eger-Fjordhoff. I'm not sure I got that name right. It's sounding good. But he's also saying the same thing. There's been no contact directly between United and Dortmund. And this was a big thing last summer. I remember it. Hugely frustrating because you didn't know whether anybody was telling the truth, because some were saying that there was no contact between the clubs. I remember there was an intermediary agent, and then there was someone else in between who was also, I think, involved in a Mkhitaryan to United deal. And it was all smoke and mirrors. It was like an espionage film that you didn't like plot twists and turns, and it was all so frustrating. And ultimately, that's kind of what it feels like right now, because no one really knows who to trust. And until concrete movement happens, and at this moment in time, Fabrizio Romano's update is as concrete as we've got. Nothing has been officially announced, but talks are underway, at least between Sancho and his camp and Manchester United. But that was the easy part. That was done last summer. That should be boxed off straight away. And if he's only 95 million, I say only, I mean, it's a lot of money. But if United are willing to spend 80 million pounds on Harry Maguire to strengthen our centre-back, we should be willing to spend 95 million on a match-winning player like Jadon Sancho, the player who's glamorous, the player who comes in and takes the headlines, the player who scores the goals that win you the trophies, not the player who keeps your defence tighter at the back. They're not as glamorous signings. Everybody knows that. Right, let's read a few of your comments out here. And as I said, get your super chats in. I'll make sure I read those out. Got Alan Gordon here. He's not having a good morning. Getting really sick of the transfers. Don't take it seriously until they're wearing the shirt. Plus, the Glazers are idiots. We need about 5 or 6 signings, and the way the club treated Romero is shocking. You're spot on about Romero. The club embarrassed themselves with how they treated him. Did not deserve that. Very loyal player. Very good player. Deserved to be treated better, but United ultimately didn't get what they wanted, so they just cast him aside. And I'm getting sick of the transfer rumours, but it is the summer, and I'm a journalist, and I'm going to report on them for you. So I hope I can sort of cut through the mud and the swamp of United's transfers as such. But let's head over to the People's Person website. If you haven't already gone on there, this is the website which I run as well. Not just a YouTube channel, not just a Facebook page, website with all the latest. And this one here is very much an interesting talking point. If you haven't seen it already, David De Gea's former coach, he's gone a bit strong. A bit strong on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I kind of think that's being polite. I mean, it's definitely being polite. This is what he's had to say. Where did he go down? He called Solskjaer a muffin, didn't he? Where? I can't even read it. The team has no solid spine. Desperate for a central defensive midfielder and a centre-back. Preaching to the choir here. He's saying David had been a good goalkeeper until Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in. De Gea has been left exposed because of our midfield frailties and centre-backs being useless. Oh, God. Oh, no, sorry. That's not even the right comments. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty hilarious. But I'll be honest, I'm not really sure what's going to go on with David De Gea and whether he's going to stay this summer or not. Let me just skip off that and go back to looking at Jadon Sancho. That's the most important thing. We've got a super comment here coming in from Dark Prince. Let me read that out for you, buddy. I get the Sancho hype, yes, but going into next season with Lindelof in defence really scares me. Don't even get me started on Fred. Excellent points again, all round. I think we can all agree, and we have always agreed, really, that United cannot really be considered title contenders when you've got Fred and McTominay in midfield. I think Fred and McTominay in midfield is a game where if you really need to set up and have a defensive counter-attacking formation in those, maybe in those huge, Fergie did it. Remember, we always used to go 4-5-1 with Rooney up top on his own. So it's not the worst thing in the world playing a counter-attacking formation in certain occasions. The problem is with Fred and McTominay being our only real central midfielders, it takes away from United's attack. And that's when you get a defensive midfielder who's good enough on his own, you only need to play him there. You don't need to play Fred and McTominay together. And Lindelof in defence, I think Lindelof, a bit like Maguire, I would say United's centre-backs are probably hyper criticised. I think they probably get a little bit more stick than they really should do. That's not to say that they can't improve. Absolutely, Maguire can improve. Absolutely, Bayer can improve. Absolutely, Lindelof can improve as well. But I do think they're hyper criticised. I think Lindelof, I just don't think he's suited to the Premier League. I think the Premier League, for me, it's too physical for the style of football that Lindelof is good at. And he's very good with his feet. He's got a good passing range. He's a smart, intelligent defender. But ultimately, his flaws, just like Harry Maguire, get exposed. And when they get exposed together, they're horrible. And that's the issue, because both of them together have weaknesses that exacerbate the others. When you get someone like Bayer alongside Maguire, it kind of reduces Maguire's weaknesses a little bit. Where you played Maguire alongside Lindelof, and when it doesn't work at all possible. Now, there's lots of comments here coming in about Grealish. Obviously, he got man of the match against Romania, and he has been linked with United for a long time. But as far as I'm concerned, it's one or the other when it comes to Sancho and Grealish. Who would you rather have, Sancho or Grealish? Type in the comments now, and I'll see what you say. But I don't really think that United could possibly afford to get both of them. Comment here from Svante on YouTube. Thank you, buddy. Is Trippier really an important signing to make this summer when we have Maguire and Lindelof in centre-back? They need the competition much more. I think it's very important to get Trippier. I think the success that we've seen with Luke Shaw and Alex Telles, it's clear that Solskjaer wants to repeat that. And you can understand why he wants to repeat it, because you look how much you got out of Luke Shaw because of it. So that's why someone like Trippier, if we can get him for 10, 12, 15 million, that's an excellent squad addition. It's nowhere near the priorities that we have, but if we can do that and it not take away from the other, then we should do it. Dark Prince here following up on his first comment. I'll toss a ball in the air. Lindelof versus my gran. Odds on my gran to win it. I'd probably beat Lindelof in the air, and I've currently got 1 foot. I agree. Lindelof's weaknesses do get drastically exposed in this current setup, or maybe they just get drastically exposed the whole time. But when Lindelof plays well, Lindelof does play very well. I just don't think he's as consistent as he needs to be. And when it comes to reliability in a football team, when it comes to the 2 positions, or the 3 positions that you just don't really ever want to think about when it comes to a starting 11, it's your goalkeeper and your 2 centre-backs. And right now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got 2 goalkeepers who are warring for that position. You've got a captain who's injured, and you've got a partner that changes every other week. That's why you can't really build huge stability in a team when those 3 core positions that you just shouldn't have to think about as a manager, Solskjaer has to think about every single week. Interesting one. Right, let's have a look. A few more of your comments. Nafal there saying Sancho adds more fire onto the wings. And he does. Obviously, Amad Diallo's got his first goal for Ivory Coast. Let me see if I can pull that one up, Eddie, because it was a nice little goal he scored. Scored his first goal for Ivory Coast this weekend. I think it was at like 97th minute winner. What a guy. There he is. Let me put this on there. It's a free kick. As you can see, there's old Ahmed. Absolutely pings it into the top corner. What a lovely goal from him. But when it comes to Amad Diallo, he's young. He's raw. We don't know what to expect from him. We can't really expect too much from him at this stage. So you can't really rely on him to come in and dominate our right wing and sort the problem out there that we've had there for so long, basically since Ronaldo retired. You need someone like Jadon Sancho to come in and add a bit of fire to the wings. Let's read a few more here. But Ethan plays games. You really don't like Lindelof. Lindelof is a terrible centre-back, though, for us. And Maguire's a top centre-back on his day, but you can't blame De Gea because the keeper relies on his defenders. No keeper is good without a good defence. Now, I would disagree on that last comment there. You don't remember when De Gea won Player of the Year under Mourinho, I think, when we finished second? We had a crap defence. We finished second because De Gea was incredible. His shot stopping was unbelievable. But it's true. The fact that... One second. I'm going to block a user there. Let me know in the comments if there's anybody who's causing any issues. I'll come elbow, little 1-2. I won't. I'll just block them. Katerina So I lost my chain of thought there. When are you going to be releasing a video on the players going out? Okay, if you want me to do that, maybe I'll do that. I think I've made my stance clear on David De Gea this summer. It's not because I've got an anti-David De Gea agenda. I love David De Gea. There is no player who deserves more credit since Fergie retired than David De Gea as a Manchester United player. He has helped us stop falling much further than we could have fallen. We would have done if David De Gea wasn't here. But this summer feels right for United to move De Gea on. Not that I'm saying Henderson is the real deal and complete. But for me, when it comes to United, I always remember this. When we got rid of Schmeichel, we struggled so hard for years. Between Schmeichel and Van der Sar, United went through keepers like no man's business. We had Taibbi, we had Bosnich. Barthez was a bit, well, he was good, but he was a bit bonkers. And there's plenty of others I can throw. We've got Tim Howard. There's others I can throw into it as well. And until we found Van der Sar, we struggled. Then we found Van der Sar. I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And then from Van der Sar, we went to David De Gea. So that was brilliant. And from David De Gea, we have the opportunity to go to Dean Henderson, an academy player who wants to play for United. You kind of underestimate how important that is. And he's a very good goalkeeper. Sure, there are flaws to his game, but he is young. He's probably going to be England's #1 for a good time. And he won't ever want to leave United if he becomes our #1. He could be there literally for 10 years. And for David De Gea, I think he deserves to do what he wants this summer. He's given so much to United. If he wants to leave and go back to Spain with Ederm, then he can do that. If he wants to stay at United and truly fight for his #1 jersey, then let him stay at United and fight for it. But in terms of what I think is going to be going on, I think David De Gea suits leaving this summer because he's got a newborn child. Ederm stayed. She stayed in Manchester for a long, long time. Remember what? It was a few years ago. Was it 3 years ago now, the fax machine? It just feels right for both De Gea and for United because we've got Henderson ready to come straight through. And we don't have to go a list of Bosnich and Taibis and Howards until we get to Van der Sar. We may already have that in Dean Henderson straight away. And I feel like it's an opportunity to do both of those. Sorry if anybody's spamming inside the chat. If there's anybody on YouTube that wants to get involved now and become a moderator in the chat, give me an email. I'll put my email in the comments right now. Drop me an email. I'd love to get you involved. There we go on YouTube. sam@thepeoplesperson.com. That is my email. If anybody wants to get involved and maybe moderate the chat, keep these spammers away, that would really, really help me. And I'd love to get you all involved in the comments. I've got a super chat here from Anoop. Thank you very much, Anoop. Let's get it on the screen. If Rashi does need surgery, do you think Sancho is the only attacking option we need? He will strengthen the right wing, but if Rashi is out, then we will need a reliable left winger worth looking for 30 million euros at Coman. He is open to the move. Interesting comment. Everybody let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Kingsley Coman, I think that's what you're talking about. Should United go for him? Have a look at him. And left wing, yeah, let's be honest, like left wing at United, it's all reliant on Rashford. Who else have we got that could play out there? I mean, you've seen Greenwood there sporadically. Sancho is a right winger. You could play Alex Telles there if you want, but left wing, we don't really, and I wouldn't say that Rashford's a natural left winger either. But he's most certainly the best left winger that we have at the club. And I don't think that we'll go for another attacker, if I'm honest, mate. I think the priorities really, I don't even think the priorities lie in attack. But Sancho is a player that United went for last summer and really wanted and will no doubt go again for this summer. So I think that that's going to be the only player we sign up for. I don't think we're going to ever sign a striker. Kane and Haaland, you can rule them out. Cavani on 1-year deal, Haaland next summer. That's going to be the big and exciting one. When it comes to left wing, I can't see United signing a left winger and a right winger and then signing a central defensive midfielder and a centre-back. It's not going to happen. Not in the same summer, as much as we'd like it to. But let's read a few more of your comments out. So Ash Horrocks here saying Rashford should have his surgery now, not go to the Euros. You're preaching to the choir there, Ash. I mean, Rashford's been playing injured probably best part of 2 seasons now. But Rashford's like Rooney. He's got a lot of Rooney about him. And Rooney played a lot of the time, and maybe he shouldn't have played when he wasn't fit. Remember that game against Bayern when he twisted his ankle just at the end when we went 2-1 down? I think it was to Olic away at Bayern, and he came back and played. And that was the I think that was a Robin one. Went 2-0 up, didn't we? Nani scored 2. Anyway, Rooney and Rashford, very similar in the idea that even if they're not 100% fit, they won't tell people they're 100% fit because they just want to play for United. Rashford's in that game, and I can't use that as a slight against him, but that comes down to the manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, saying, look, you're not fit, Marcus. Rest. And I'd love to see Rashford miss the Euros, not because I wanted to miss the Euros, but it would help United so much for Rashford to have like 6 weeks off, a little bit of surgery, sort the niggles. That would be amazing. I just don't think it's going to happen. He cares too much. Someone there, fair enough, you're saying you can play Dan James out on the left, but if Rashford's ineffective on the right, then what is Dan James on the left? And Dan James is pretty ineffective on the right, let alone on the left. Someone there saying you can't compare Rooney with Trashford. It's really hard. I don't get. I think maybe it's just a modern football fan. The hyper criticism that players get. He's not Trashford. He's nearly got. Well, how many goals have he even scored this year? He scored 23, 22 last year, one behind Martial. He fell off a fucking cliff. But Rashford still got more than 10 goals and more than 10 assists. And he was still one of the most important players, played pretty much every game for United this season. I think he gets a bit, as I said, when it comes to Maguire and Lindelof maybe getting hyper-criticised, I absolutely think that Rashford does get hyper-criticised. And he's turned himself into a role model, man. I love what Rashford has done. Another comment here from Anoop. Big up, Anoop. Please compare Ruben Neves and Rice from One Football. Neves outperforms in every aspect. Available for 35 million. You all know, if you watched me last summer, I'm sure plenty of you did. I love Ruben Neves, and it's not just because he scored a banger against United. I think Ruben Neves is such a dynamic midfielder who does have excellent defensive capabilities that he could come into this team and play that defensive midfield role so well for United, and at 35 million, and he's Premier League proven, living in the North already. Well, Midlands. It just makes sense for so many in my opinion, it makes sense for so many reasons, and it frustrates me the fact that we're not after him. Look, Declan Rice, I'm sure he's excellent at what he does. And I was speaking to a few West Ham fans at the weekend, and they're like, look, man, he's a 50, 60 million pound player. But because of the premiums, because of the Premier League tax, because of the United tax, because of the English tax, it's going to be 80, 90 million. And I can't see United doing that. If we weren't going to spend that much money on Jadon Sancho last summer, you really think we're going to do it on a defensive midfielder this summer? I don't know. And I do admit that I am a bit worried at the lack of conversation that's really happening around centre-backs and central defensive midfielders. Now, Rafael Varane, that's one that's come in. Do you think there's any chance of Rafael Varane happening? That would be an interesting chat. Let me get your comments in, get your super chats in. We'll have a little conversation about Rafael Varane. Then we've got Jules Koundé. I don't know what other centre-backs we've been linked to at the moment, but not really much in terms of a centre-back conversation. In terms of the defensive midfield conversation, we're looking at Declan Rice. That's been tentatively linked. We haven't really been linked with Ndidi from Leicester, who I love. Haven't really been linked. They've just signed Sumer as well from Lille, I think. The positions that I think United need to strengthen, there hasn't really been much. Pau Torres, that's another one for centre-back. Good point. There hasn't really been much in terms of the conversation. And that does worry me a little bit. Certainly going into the Euros, we're not signing a defensive midfielder or a centre-back first. If anything, we're going to be signing Jadon Sancho. But maybe that is over-optimistic. Got a comment here on Facebook from Salaf saying, we need a next Carrick. Somebody play similar like him. I think that's probably what a lot of people feel Declan Rice can fall into the mould of. He's not going to be, certainly not with the passing range of Carrick, but somebody who's got the intelligence to play that role. I remember Carrick did drop deeper as he got older, a bit like Scholes, a bit like most midfielders do. I remember him playing that. Carrick, I remember specifically whenever you used to watch Carrick when he was playing deeper, he would never fly in for a tackle because he'd always intercept the ball before it got to that player. He would cut the passing lanes rather than like running at a player and like biting at the heels like McTominay does. Carrick just sits back and just assesses where the ball's going to go. and gets his body in the way of that. It's a very different style. It's a bit tougher. You have to have the intelligence for that. And that's maybe what made Carrick so good. But anybody who's watched enough of Declan Rice, is that the sort of thing that Declan Rice does? I'll be interested to know that. Comment here coming in from RC1 Ron 30. Thank you very much, buddy. We ask for great players, but are content with an average manager. We are United. It should be the best of the best all round. And that's obviously opening the conversation about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And let's be honest, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been learning on the job. But I think he has been learning on the job. I think Solskjaer is getting better and better. And I think personally, the thing that is very natural to Solskjaer is his man management. David De Gea might disagree with that, but I think Solskjaer clearly has managed these players very well. And there are so many players that have improved under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Do I think he's the best in class? Maybe not. Maybe Pochettino might have been a better choice, but he didn't have any titles before he went to PSG. He somehow lost Liga to Lille, so maybe he wasn't the best choice. United, we stuck through Solskjaer's darker times. I mean, it wasn't that dark, but there was 2 or 3 times where I thought Solskjaer might get sacked, but not anymore. And this summer we have to back him. Back him or sack him, man. It's that same situation when Mourinho finished second. He finished second. And then in that summer, he was asking for money to sign players. And United, I think he wanted Harry Maguire, didn't he? But United didn't sign him because they said it was too much. And then we went behind him. And then Mourinho was lost. Everything was lost. Tommy, you didn't leave a comment, you rookie. Make sure you leave a comment next. I'll try and read it. If you leave another comment, I'll try and read it out just so you don't waste that super chat. Tarek saying he's having a conversation about Solskjaer. Yes, Ollie isn't perfect, but it's the first time since Fergie that we've seen any sort of upward trajectory. I mean, yes and no. There have been fleeting moments under Mourinho and fleeting moments under Van Gaal and nothing under Moyes. But it's the consistency that I think we're seeing. It. We were second for a reason. And sure, the Europa League final was an exposing game for so many reasons. And I actually think the biggest mistake Solskjaer made all season was not taking off De Gea for Henderson, because De Gea doesn't save penalties. It wasn't rocket science. It wasn't a surprise to see him struggle there, was it? But we'll move on from that. Let's read a few more of your comments out here. Otherwise, I might be talking to you all day. I've got things. I haven't got anything to do. I haven't got anything to do. We need Sancho, says Jason Fry on Facebook, and Neves. And as much as I like Pau Torres, I think the best option for right now is Varane. There's a lot of dead wood we need to get rid of. If we're looking at dead wood going out of the club, probably going to be, I say dead wood. Dead wood's a harsh thing to say, but just players I think that should be leaving. Deadwood, Phil Jones, definitely should be leaving. Sergio Romero's obviously gone. Joel Pereira's already gone. I think why Mata now is the right time for Mata to be leaving, for him to come off the wages. I think now is the right time for Jadon Sancho to join. I think now is the right time for David De Gea to be leaving, both for the wages and for his own. I keep saying this, man. I have no agenda. I just want to reiterate this right now. I have no agenda against David De Gea. Love the guy. But now is the right summer. Comment here again from Rick Ron. I see your point, but players go on loan to learn when they are ready. If they are good enough, they come back. It's true. But when it comes to managers, typically in the modern game, managers are not given the ability to learn on the job. Take Frank Lampard at Chelsea, for example. His dream job. He went there way too early after Derby, made an absolute hash of it. Tuchel comes in, they win the Champions League. Same players. Frank Lampard tried to learn on the job at Chelsea and wasn't able to improve enough to keep his job. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has. He really, really has. So many players are better than where they were before Ole came in. Martial, that season. Greenwood, Rashford, our strikers have certainly come on. We're scoring goals left, right, and centre. Centre-back, there's plenty that we need to improve. And there's still, obviously, there's a lot that Solskjaer needs to learn too. But he's being given the chance to learn on the job. And it's a rare thing in the modern game. And I think that's probably what's causing the conflict between a lot of United fans and what is going on. But I'm confident the next season, you can get this bad boy in, get Sancho in, get a defensive midfielder in, get a centre-back in. I think United are going to have a squad capable of challenging next season. I really, really do. I don't know whether I don't know whether that's going to be Varane at centre-back. I don't know whether that's going to be Rice, a defensive midfielder. I don't know who it's going to be, but it has to be somebody. United cannot go into next summer genuinely expecting to challenge for the Premier League and the Champions League if we do not sign a defensive midfielder and a new centre-back. That is simple. So Sancho, as excited as I am about Sancho, I kid you not, I am so psyched for the idea that Sancho is going to come in. A defensive midfield and a centre-back, they are more important. So let's see what happens there. But I tell you what, I enjoyed this stream. I don't think there's any issues with the quality. I think it's running smooth. Thank you for all your super chats. There's loads of you watching now. So I'll give you 5 seconds to hit that subscribe button down there. Hit the notification bell. Join United People's TV. Get involved. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you share this. And make sure you join me tomorrow. I will be here 9:30 to 9:45. That's what I'm going to be aiming for every single day, apart from Wednesday when I've got an appointment in the morning. But don't judge me for that. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you drop a like on the page on Facebook and join me tomorrow. If there are any big updates that happen during the course of today, I'll be back with more live videos. But until next time, take it easy.